There is a little bit of a game involved. It's really more of a marketing game because when you take up the news cycle, how do you get attention? Do you tell people, hey, listen, we don't know what's going to happen in the next year. We have sort of a broad range of, outcomes that's probably going to fall within. That doesn't get attention, right? That doesn't get you booked on slots on different networks. So there is an advantage to just being bombastic because what happens is if you're wrong, no one tends to really care. But if you make an outlandish call, you're more likely to get booked. And if you happen to get that call right, you can dine out on that for the next couple of years. So there's no real downside for people to going out there. From the industry's perspective, everyone knows that, yeah, you're just going to go up there and make a prediction. And we aren't going to hold you to account because we know how ridiculous it is to try and do that. But there are a lot of people who are maybe less informed who are looking at that and saying, oh, well, this person said that name your favorite commodity is going to, double in price. And they will actually make, investment decisions based on that. And that's a real problem. And there's about 1,000 different opinions out there. So you can go out there and look for the opinion that confirms your views already, which is another cognitive bias that we have. And that's not productive. And what that means is because there's so many more people and so many more information sources out there, the value of people who really know what they're doing has actually increased over time. And I think this is one of the things that people grapple with is what is my value as a professional in this day and age? There's so many tools, there's automation, there's AI, and it looks like they can do some really amazing things. Is this going to take away my ability to earn an income? And I would say that that is actually not a new fear. That is a constant fear that we've had for literally hundreds of years, if not more. If you go back to the Industrial Revolution, back in France, for example, and also in England, the technology of the day that was threatening a lot of people's way of life was stocking frames in textile mills. And this is when they started to bring in new types of automation as part of this industrial revolution. And these textile workers, they felt very threatened because up until then, if you wanted to make a little bit more money than average, you'd have to get off from, the farms, maybe come work in the cities, train on how to work in these textile mills. You made good money, you wore nice clothes, and you had these nice leather shoes. And then these stocking frames came in with the promise of increasing productivities in these factories. And the owners of these textile mills were really enthusiastic about it. The workers, not so much. And so to voice their displeasure, they went on strike and they said, you know what, we're going to go on strike to show our displeasure with this because we think this is a threat to our livelihood. And the textile mill owners said, you know what, not a problem. We'll just find some scab workers. So they went into the countryside to the farmers and they said, hey, listen, why don't you come work in these factories for us? It's really easy to operate this new machinery, this new technology that we have. And these workers from, the countryside, they didn't make good money. They didn't have nice clothes and they didn't have leather shoes. They wore these wooden shoes, which in France were called sabots. And so the slang term for these scab workers became, here come the sabots to take all our jobs. And they would, but they would work slow and clumsy. They were still not highly skilled. So after a while, the striking workers said, you know what, our strategy of striking isn't working because we're not making money. The scab workers, the sabots, have taken our jobs and our income. Let's do something different. So they went back to their jobs, but to show their displeasure, they just worked slow and clumsily like a sabot. And that's where we get the term sabotage from. And so that's emblematic, I think, of the fear people have about new types of technology. But the second part of that story is productivity did shoot up. After these skilled workers came back and used this new technology, that led to an explosion in the textile industry since that time. And if you fast forward another couple hundred years to England, in the north part of London, there's a place called Enfield. This is where Barclays Bank unveiled the first automated teller machine. And what do you think bank tellers at the time thought? This is the worst thing that could happen to our industry. This is an abomination. We're not going to stand for it. And it turns out that their fears could not have been more wrong. What ended up happening was these ATMs, automated teller machines, were relegated to processing menial tasks like deposits and withdrawals, which freed up humans inside the banks, because those ATMs were so big they had to be outside the banks. It freed up humans inside the banks to provide higher value-added services to their clients. And that was a hockey stick moment for banking. The number of bankers since that time for the next 50 or 60 years exploded. There are more bank tellers than ever, not less, because of this automation technology. And the value added services that these new generation of bankers were providing with the aid of technology increased. And that led to an explosion of banking's footprint because now you can open up new bank branches with fewer people. And so they're able to expand the footprint from coast to coast to coast. So again, technology that was initially feared ended up being the best thing that could ever have happened to that industry. And we're seeing the same thing now with AI. And right now, people are saying, this is going to be horrible for my livelihood. I don't know how I'm going to be able to compete with this new technology and what it can do. And what we will see again is that we've probably heard this 1,000 times by now, that AI isn't going to take away jobs from people. It's going to take away jobs from people who aren't using AI. And that's what we're seeing now. So the trick is, how do you harness this new technology to increase your productivity? This is similar to the Industrial Revolution. We are now in the AI revolution.